Um, sorry, I had to do that. I know I'm not in Korea anymore, but it was just like, I miss saying that. But anyways, I just wanted to put this video out there, just to give some people some perspective. I know that going to Korea, it's a huge decision, and it's something that takes a lot of time and effort and research. And I made the decision that I wanted to go to Korea based on some circumstances that I was in. I didn't really like my job at the time, and I just wanted a change of scenery, change of environment. I was just kind of looking for an escape, basically, from a lot of situations. And I knew some people that did go to Korea before and were currently in Korea. So I thought, okay, why not? If other people are doing it, why not? And that, honestly, I would suggest, do not do that. Um, if you're gonna go to another country to do anything, to live abroad, definitely make sure that it's something that it's something you dream about. It's a passion. It's something that relates directly to who you are and what you're doing, where you're going in life. And for me, Korea was not that. It was more of, okay, this is a good way to make some money and, you know, get some experience and live on my own. And well, I already lived on my own. I already live on my own, but just kind of to have a new experience and be somewhere different. And if that's, if that's why you're going, I would definitely suggest just looking into yourself and making sure that this is something you really want to do. Because doing my research, looking into blogs and seeing, vlogs as well. A lot of people have a lot of stuff to say about Korea and their experiences, and a lot of it was very positive. A lot of it was just fantastic, and I looked at those experiences that people were having, and I thought, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be amazing. And I feel like I just want to bring some perspective so people can be prepared for things not to go as planned, for things not to be amazing and awesome, and how to deal with that. Because I wasn't prepared mentally for things to not go the way I imagined them to go. So I'm just gonna like get into, the orientation when I got to Korea. And shout outs to Reach to Teach. They helped me a lot. Jason and John, they're amazing. If you do want to go to Korea, um, I mean, I'm in Canada, so Reach to Teach, they work with people from anywhere that is a native English speaking country. But they were awesome. They led me through every single step, and they were so patient, and I really appreciate their assistance and getting me to Korea. And they even met up with us when we were in Korea and brought us out to dinner, and it was lovely. It was nice. It was awesome to meet them, and I appreciate their assistance. Um, but I'm just gonna get into the orientation. It so I was with Epic, but Epic and Gepic have now merged. In case people are not aware of this, because a lot of the teachers that I had my orientation with were not aware, and I wasn't aware either. So I was a little confused with what Gepic was. I knew I was applying for Epic, and that's all I knew. But Gepic is teaching jobs in the Gyeonggi province, which is surrounding Seoul. Um, and don't assume because it says surrounding Seoul that you will be close to Seoul. I'll just let you guys know it does not mean you will be close to Seoul. Okay? Um, but yes, going back to orientation, it was an epic orientation. Um, and they prepared us. They gave us classes, learning about the customs of Korea, learning the language, the history. We learned about teaching styles. We learned about discipline styles. We learned about a lot of things, and it prepares you in that sense. But the orientation is a little bit sheltered, and we were very sheltered in our orientation, because it was just all of us teachers in one place. We were staying in dorms in a university, and everything was just so magical, happy-go-lucky, you know. It was tiring though. Just be prepared when or if you are going to an epic orientation, you'll be on the go nonstop. Okay, like morning to night. They gave us classes until I think 8 o'clock at night. And not to mention you're still jet lagged, and you have a roommate. So you know, if you guys have different like sleeping patterns and maybe one wants to be up and you want to sleep, you definitely have to communicate that with your roommate. But yeah, you're on the go, and you're on the go constantly all the time. So it was a very tiring orientation. It was like a boot camp, like a boot camp 101 to Korea. But and the beds are really hard. So yeah, if you have something that you can pack that's um like a pillow top kind of thing that you can put on your bed, that's gonna help you a lot because those beds are hard. Koreans do not believe in soft beds. But anyway, I met a teacher at the orientation that actually taught before, and he decided it wasn't for him, but then he returned. And I asked him some questions. I wanted to pick his brain a little bit because, you know, he already did it. So I was like, you know, tell me everything I need to know, please, because I need to know what I'm getting myself into. And the first thing he said was, you know, you guys are coming into this orientation like you're trying to save the world. And he's like, that's great and all, but yeah, he's like, just be prepared for things to not be what you expect. And I was like, well, what was your experience like? And he was just like, I had a co-teacher or a few co-teachers that would literally do nothing. They would come with him to class and sit at the back of the class and read a book, and he was doing all the teaching. And he said, you know, it definitely made his experience um, quite miserable. Um, he learned to be a teacher very quickly. He acquired a lot of like great skills, but it made his experience quite miserable because he felt like he was doing everything by himself and he wasn't supported. So I had all those things in the back of my mind, and I took, you know, took what he said into consideration, but I tried to be very positive and just look at the positives of my experience being there. Um, so after orientation, that's when things get real, okay? It gets real. You are gonna go through a fluster of emotions. You're gonna be nervous, you're gonna be anxious, you're gonna be confused, like everything you can think of. All the emotions that you may not even know you have are just going to come up because it's like that's the moment of wow, I'm actually in another country by myself. I don't know the language. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to get around, and I'm going to be by myself. And it hits you like a brick wall. And you're not going to be around your fellow teachers that you're around the whole course of your orientation. So when you get on that bus and you're all going in different directions, it's nerve wracking. So what happens is they put you into an auditorium, sorry, and basically the co-teachers are on one side of the auditorium. I don't know why I can't talk today. And then the native teachers, which is us, are on the other side of the auditorium. And at that point, they put you know, they say your name and then you go up and you're introduced to your co-teacher and then you walk out of the auditorium and that's it. You're saying bye to your teachers, your fellow teacher friends, and that's it. You're on your way to your apartment. So I was really nervous. I was freaking out because I was just like, oh my gosh, I pray to God. I was just praying to God, like, God, if you love me, please give me a good co-teacher because I've heard countless times over and over and over again that your co-teacher can make or break your experience. And yes, it can. Yes, it can. Anyways, my co-teacher was really cool. We talked and she was just getting to know me and I was getting to know her. We took a taxi. I noticed that where I was, you know, we were in the taxi for a long time and I realized, oh my God, I'm in the country. Like I looked out the window and it was just all country land. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be living in the middle of nowhere. And also another tip, if you want to drive in Korea, ooh, I don't know if it's a good idea. My co-teacher literally asked me if I had my license and I was telling her, you know, I do. And I was planning on maybe renting a car and like, you know, just driving somewhere. Like going on, you know, weekend excursions and whatnot and driving. And she was like, yeah, no, that would be great. And not even 5 minutes later, my taxi driver, we're both in the taxi, gets into a car accident and T-bones this other car. And it was crazy. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not driving in Korea. So for any of you who want to drive in Korea, okay, it's your choice. But Korean drivers, not to generalize, but they kind of don't look. They just change lanes and like do their own thing, and you just have to be really careful. But yeah, that shook me up a little bit. And I lived in Ansang, so that's like really really far south. So Seoul's here, and then Ansang is like down here. So I was far from Seoul. That's why I said, even though they tell you you're a part of Gepik, you're a part of Gyeonggi province surrounding Seoul, it's a huge province, and you could be 50, 60 minutes away from Seoul. You could be 2 hours away from Seoul and still be in Gyeonggi. So just be prepared for that. I was about an hour and a half, I think, away from Seoul. So not that far, but not that close either. But I was still in the country. Ensung is a very country city, small city, rural city. Um, so at least, fortunate enough, my apartment at the time, when I was looking around, I saw like a McDonald's and a Subway, and I saw Baskin Robbins, and I got excited. I was like, okay, at least I'm staying in a city environment. But so this is where the city environment is, and then all surrounding it is it's just rural. It's farm and hills and everything else. So very rural. Um, so anyway, so my co-teacher was just like, yeah, we're gonna have to just leave him here. So get your bags. And I was like, we're gonna leave him here. Luckily, everyone was okay, but it was just like, oh my gosh, I was shaken up. So anyways, I'm still like, not to mention I'm shaken up, but I'm also nervous because I have no idea what my apartment is going to look like, and I was freaking out. And I saw so many great videos online of people's apartments, and they looked amazing, and they looked um really modern and nice. And I was hoping to God, I didn't actually expect less. I expected to get something nice. And womp womp womp. That's not what happened. She opened the door to my apartment, and it was not what I expected. It was tiny, literally like the size of my kitchen. That was the size of my apartment. Like the size of my kitchen here was the size of my apartment. It was tiny, tiny, tiny. And size doesn't really matter to me in terms of where I live, but I just expected it to be clean. And the bathroom was moldy. And in case you guys don't know, whoever hasn't been to Korea or isn't aware, but there are no showers or no bathtubs. So when you take a shower, it's attached to the faucet of the sink, and you literally shower. So you detach it and you shower like this in the bathroom, and the water goes on the bathroom floor, and it goes through a drain. And your toilet's gonna get wet, your sink, everything, your mirror, everything is gonna get wet in that bathroom. Just heads up. I knew that already. I was prepared for that, but I wasn't prepared for mold. I wasn't prepared for my kitchen to be that tiny and just grungy and moldy smelling. I wasn't prepared for my view to be just a wall. Like I was literally looking at like the back of another apartment building, and it was a wall. So I was getting no light, and I love light, like, so I thought that was quite depressing. And it was really grungy. It was like a back of an alleyway. Like that's what my view was, and I was really upset about that. And at nighttime, not to mention, things were like biting my skin. I don't know if it was bed bugs or what the heck was happening. And I remember bringing it up to my co-teacher, and she just basically was not having it. Like, there's just FYI, if you do not like your apartment and it's not even an apartment that you feel comfortable in, and I'm a big believer in being comfortable where you live. Um, And that's like the first step to settling in somewhere. When you're living in another country, you want to be comfortable where you're living because you're in another country. Everything else is already so unsettling. The one place that should be settling is where you live. And it just wasn't. I was completely uncomfortable in that apartment that they gave me. It was not cleaned. And I asked my co-teacher, like, aren't we supposed to have a clean apartment? And she's like, oh, yeah, they took out the garbage. It was clean. But when I wiped my finger on the desk, there was dust. The floor was dirty. There was mold, like I said. The kitchen had like a moldy smell. Um, and it was a depressing apartment, to say the least. And I was really upset about it. Anyway, first day of school now. So my teacher gave me a map and was basically just like, my co-teacher, sorry, and was like, okay, this is the bus you have to take. Mind you, my school is 50 minutes away from where I lived. So I had to get on the bus and travel for 50 minutes, get off the bus, and then walk another 15 minutes to my school, which was in like literally like there was farmland as I'm walking to my school. So it was very rural, very, very, very country. And I was a little disappointed about that as well because doing my research, I know that we were told that we would be placed, if you get an apartment, it's close to your school. And if you have to commute, I never expected it to be that far of a commute. So that was very disappointing. Um, so that was also a challenge. So I get to school and that was a challenge as well because everything's in Korean. So I would suggest on your first day of school, making sure that your co-teacher picks you up or someone can pick you up or your co-teacher goes with you before your first day and shows you the route. Don't just think you're Superwoman or Superman and just say, I got it. I can go to school on my own. I can figure it out. You can, but it's very challenging. It's tricky if you don't know Korean. I got lost and I was walking up and down in a dress on a freezing cold minus something day and I couldn't find my way. It was rough. So that's my words of advice. But I get to my school and my co-teacher brings me to the teacher's room and introduces me to all the teachers. And she was like, this is Akila. She's from Canada and yada, yada, yada. She said everything in Korean. And the teachers, I was there like, hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. 안녕하세요. And they were just like, I was like, I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. And, I'm looking forward to a great year. And then my co-teacher translates in Korean and they're just like, I was like, where's the love? Like, I was not feeling the love at all. Like, I was just like, is it me? Like, are they not fond of me? Or are they just unhappy in their job? What? I don't know. But it was really like that vibe. It killed my vibe. I will not lie to you. I was just like, wow, this is not such a great start. Not a great start at all. But anyways, my co-teacher and I, as much as I tried to get along with her, she made things really, really, really difficult for me. She wanted me to do everything on my own. Basically, like, you need an alien registration card when you go to Korea. She told me to basically figure it out on my own. And it's something that's very difficult to figure out on your own because it's in Korean. And I tried, I went home and I did it myself and it just wasn't working. The website was down and I had to ask her several times if she could just book it for me. And she finally did. And when she did, she booked me for some immigration office 2 hours away from where I lived. And I later found out that other teachers in the same city as me went to a city next door, which was a 40-minute bus ride, and their co-teachers went with them and they were able to get their ARC card. And I missed out on that opportunity because my co-teacher somehow booked me for a 2-hour trip to the immigration office. And then after she booked it, told me, oh, you have to go by yourself. I can't come. And I was like, go by myself? Really? Like, me? I'm going to go by myself to an immigration office that does not speak English? So that was that that put me off. I was pretty upset about that, and I just felt like my co-teacher didn't care. She didn't care to be there for me. And your co-teacher is supposed to help you in settling in. They're supposed to help you with those things. And she wasn't, she basically just told me I'm on my own. Even with opening a bank account, she was like, yeah, you're going to be on your own. I can't come with you. And for me, that put me off. And I was just really discouraged by that. So I would suggest getting your coordinator's information for Epic or Gepic if you are a part of Epic or Gepic, so that you can let them know what's happening and, get assistance from them. Not to say that everything will turn out okay, because sometimes their assistance is just, oh, your school will help you, you know? But it's always important to have information. And I will be writing a blog, and I will put some information in my blog about resources that you can use while you're in Korea that can help you in case anything goes wrong or you're in a situation and you need assistance. So I will have that in my blog, and you guys can check it out. I will attach it to the video. So just as I was saying, be prepared. Things may not go as planned in Korea. You may expect things to be a certain way, and they may end up not being that way. So it's better to just be prepared for that and have some perspective. Um, but at that point, I was really starting to feel like Korea was not for me. And I met some awesome people at orientation, and you will meet awesome people. You will make some great friends. And that was the only thing that made me feel like I had something to hold on to in Korea. But everything else was just a disaster. And to make things even more crazy, at the time that I was in Korea, my grandmother passed away. And at that point, I knew I had to make a decision on what I was going to do, because my school, when it comes to bereavement, you do not get a lot of time off. And my school was not very lenient with that stuff. So after they knew about what happened, they were willing to give me some days off, but I mean, it's a 13 and a 14-hour flight, which is like a whole day. And by the time, you make it somewhere, they didn't give me enough days to basically return. Not to mention, I didn't get paid when I was supposed to get paid. So definitely come prepared with extra money. I know with Epic, they told us bring 1 month's worth of pay. Bring enough money for 1 month. But it turned into me not getting paid for 2 months. So that was another issue that I had to deal with. And like I said, with my grandmother passing, I knew at that point, okay, I need to reevaluate why I'm here and if it's worth it to stay here, because I knew I had to make a decision. And don't ever take anything as a loss. Anything that you feel is a loss it's not a loss, it's a lesson. That's what I took Korea as. It was a lesson. I learned a lot about myself, about what I'm capable of, about decision making, about just trusting your instincts and trusting yourself and your gut and what your gut and your heart is telling you. And I had a lot of sleepless nights worrying about what I should do. And honestly, I did a lot of soul searching. And I realized I went to Korea for the wrong reasons. I didn't go to Korea because it was a passion of mine, or it was always a dream, or it was something that I had in my heart for a long time. I went to Korea because of circumstances that I was basically trying to escape in my country. And I would not suggest going to another country to live for those reasons, unless it's a really a serious situation. But I honestly believe that we all have passions and purpose, and always make decisions based on your passions and your purpose, because things will just fall into place at that point. But when you're making decisions to do something major and it's based on the wrong reasons, it will become apparent to you that God does not have that plan for you. And I think being in Korea, at that time, it was not God's plan for me. And I had to make a decision to go or to stay. And I made my decision to go. I wanted to be there for my family and to go to my grandmother's funeral. And things were just not going right. And I wasn't prepared for that. I was expecting my experience to be way better. Um, but that's life. And sometimes things do not go as planned, and you have to just reevaluate and hit reroute on the GPS of life and keep it moving. And I learned a lot being in Korea, and I appreciated the experience of traveling abroad and being somewhere different that I've never been, and learning about a new culture that I never knew about. But I knew that I wasn't connecting to the culture the way that I wanted to. And I just felt like maybe I'm here for the wrong reasons. And I just had to come to terms with that and make that decision to either stay or go. And for me personally, if something is not for me, I don't like to stick in it. I don't like to stay in it. Um, I don't like to waste time in things that are not for me. And I felt like Korea was not for me. And I had to just be grown up about it and come to terms. And I felt like I was going to disappoint my friends and my family because they were all rooting for me. I mean, my family not in the beginning, but they came around and they were really excited for me to have this opportunity. And my friends were really excited for me. And I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And that would have been the reason I was going to stay. It would have been because I don't want to be a disappointment. And that is no reason at all to stick in anything. Um, we have one life to live, and you have to do what feels right to you. And I will I do not want to make decisions based on what other people are going to think of me or disappointing others. It's about what your passions are and what you truly believe in and what you love. And I would have spent a whole year doing something that I wasn't feeling comfortable in, doing something that didn't feel like it was for me, and maybe missing out on a whole year of getting my stuff together back home and doing those things that are really my passion and my purpose. And I just had so many plans that I knew I wanted to do, but I felt like Korea was a better option. And now I know for sure. I honestly take every experience that I've had as a lesson and not a loss. And I feel so blessed to be back in Canada. I never appreciated Canada as much as I did coming back. Um, I have a whole new appreciation for where I live, and I just want to follow what feels right to me that I should be doing, and not what looks good on paper or what seems good at the time or what other people are doing. Always just make decisions based on what you want to do and what your passion is. And just follow your dreams. And like I said, there are a lot of blogs and vlogs out there that are only talking about the positives. I've seen some videos talking about some things that are a little negative as well about Korea. So yes, that's out there as well. But I just wanted to put out something to give people some perspective. If you're not sure about going there, I would suggest really doing some soul searching and making sure that this is something that you really want to do, because it's a big deal. And the things that you're used to in your country is going to go out the window when you go into another country, and the rules that apply to you in your country will not apply to you in another country. And people are not necessarily going to be as nice or as helpful as you may expect. So just be prepared for the unexpected. And like I said, I'll be giving you guys some information in my blog about who to talk to. and what to do if things are not what you expect. And if you do not like your apartment, there is the option to get another apartment, but you have to pay rent. For me, that was not a good option because I was going to Korea to save money. And I thought if I'm going to go and pay rent in another country, I might as well have just stayed home. For me, it didn't make sense, but there is that possibility. If it's a decision you want to make, then you can, it's not impossible to get another apartment, but just know that you're paying rent for that apartment, and know your school and your coordinator will not get you another apartment if you don't like your apartment. But yeah, it was to say the least a very interesting experience. I learned a whole lot, and I just wanted to share this with y'all. You know, people who are considering going to Korea and are not sure. Maybe there are people who are in Korea right now that might see this and you're struggling, and you're not enjoying your experience. I honestly, my hat goes off to you. I salute you. If you are in Korea and you're not having the greatest experience, but you are pushing through, I salute you. If you know that that is, where you belong, and that is your passion, and that is what you want to do, and that's your, something that is in your heart, stick it out, and the the results will be amazing. But for me, it wasn't for me, and I knew it wasn't for me deep down in my heart. And the amount of things that were happening, it made me realize more and more I had to make a choice to either, is it worth it for me to stay in Korea and suffer these circumstances, or is it not? And for me, it wasn't worth it. And I am just grateful for the experience, and I learned a lot, and I just want to share this with you guys. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling on. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and I just want to say, follow your purpose, follow what you believe in, and never make decisions based on what other people are doing, and always make decisions that are best for you. Okay? And I just want to say, 안녕히세요, since I can't use that anymore. Just take care of yourselves, and like I said, I'll put some information in my blog so that you guys can kind of get some information on what to do if things are not what you expect and you're unhappy. And yeah, all right, peace.